So we are in pre-roll, 5 minutes and we will be live. You can talk, no problem right now, just to check something. Ma mi chiedo se siate davvero pronti a questa sera e allo Strange Ball Speakers Corner, perché questa sera è qui con noi Andreas Ruu Viklund, autore e lead designer di Astro Inferno. Ed eccoci qua. Here we are. Thank you guys for being
Buonasera.
here. Buonasera, buonasera. And
Buonasera.
Good Italian.
good
Welcome.
Italian. Have you ever been in Italy, Andreas?
Yeah, we've been a weekend in Rome.
Oh,
Just
nice.
walked
Very
around.
nice.
It
Very
was
nice.
spectacular, of
Oh,
course.
I
Yeah.
I love that you enjoyed your time in Italy. I have been in Sweden, only in Stockholm, and it was amazing. I loved Stockholm. I can't wait to return. So, I'll say just a few words in Italian to welcome our viewers. Ben arrivati ragazzi, ben arrivati tutti quanti. E questa sera parliamo con Andreas Ruu Viklund di Astro Inferno, il gioco fondato su Kickstarter e che piano piano sta venendo alla luce. Quindi, ben arrivati. And so we shall start with our question if you are ready, guys.
Yeah. Sure.
First of all, the classical question that we do to all our guests. Can you talk a little bit about yourself? Can you introduce yourself to us, to our viewers?
Yeah, sure. My name is Andreas Ruu, and I live in the north of Sweden. We have winter here. It's really snowy, and it's a pain. And
Okay.
that's why we we invent stuff about hell and darkness.
Oh, good.
Yeah, but I work in the printing business, so I usually do like graphics design and that sort of kind of living. And role-playing games has been my hobby since, well, first grade, with the Swedish role-playing games, Drakar and Demoner and Cult and those. And we seem to return to those pretty fairly all the time. Those are the games we play the most, actually. And well, I'm I'm 44 years old, and well, I was working for I was drawing maps for Cult, helping Petter out doing maps, and then I had this idea about this game, Astro Inferno, and I asked him, "Well, do you want to do something with this?" And he was like, "No, you do it yourself," and I did. Yeah.
Oh, cool. So you did the maps. I believe you did maps for the manual, the second book that came out with the second Kickstarter of Cult of Divinity Lost, with
Yeah.
the one with all the maps, all the locations.
Labyrinth and Secret Chambers.
Yeah, oh,
Yeah.
I found it amazing. I'm a huge
Yeah.
fan of Cult Divinity Lost.
Me
So
too. Yeah.
okay, so we are
Yeah.
all in Cult,
Good
and
company.
I loved that book. So well, I will have two of your works soon.
Yeah. It wasn't just me doing the maps. There were
yeah,
others
okay.
involved, but yeah.
I just have a question that I would like to do it because I have anticipated in the pre-roll that I just purchased all the project without reading anything from the first image that I saved. So a little bit fangirling in this moment, but it's okay. Okay, let's go straight to Astro Inferno, a beyond
Yeah.
grimdark tabletop RPGs of epic violence and fantastic despair.
Yeah.
Please, can tell us more about this crazy and amazing game, please.
Where to start? Okay, I can begin with telling you how I came up with this idea, and it has its roots in Cult, because I've always been a great fan of Cult, but this it's more like a psychological and like close quarters horror game. but there are these great lore parts about these entities, the gods of the 777 gods of Metropolis, and all this deep lore that I really love. I really love this like Dark Souls kind of lore, but it doesn't shine the way I want it to shine in Cult. So often when I do like adventures and campaigns in Cult, I usually like bring them to the forefront, bring the gods and the demons out, so to speak. And this was like my way of making a game that's Cult, but if the entities aren't like in another world, they are right here, and they are standing in front of you, and they're your boss, so to speak. So that's the start of Cult, really. No, Astro Inferno, really. It started in Cult, sort of.
This connection is very intense, as I see, and I think that cult is a really okay. This is a double expression, but cult is a cult of our hero in tabletop
Mm.
RPGs, and I wish that this game you created, the Astro Inferno, will be in the same place, because I'm very curious to see all the parts, all the details. Because one of the things that I appreciated more is the extremely mm, precise description of each part with very methodical precision. This is I like it very much. This is hit me so much as a
Yeah.
as a first read.
Yeah, that's has been one of my problems actually, because when I get an idea, it's cool uh, as long as it's sort of a little fuzzy.
Hmm.
When it's like hidden in darkness, shrouded in darkness. But when you try to explain it more thoroughly and like give it details, it gets less scary.
Hmm.
And that has sort of been uh, main problem during development, because it is really detailed, and it's like it's saying exactly how stuff is related, and but still it is relying on like storytelling procedures, so to speak. So we want it to be fussy, but we want also to give the at least the GM like this deep lore
Hmm.
that they can dive into and pull out stuff. So it's a balance, clearly.
I love it.
I love it.
Definitely.
I love it. I see a question from our viewers that is quite interesting. I will return on this topic
Yeah.
lately, but the Hat Cat asks, I can see a lot of great dark and satanic iconography in your work. Does metal music or extreme music in general influence your art?
Sure, to a degree at least. I'm very much into heavy music and black metal and that kind of music. But I also love Radiohead and Tori Amos and like these very not mainstream but very poppy music. So I'm doing both
Yeah.
kinds of. It depends on what mood you're in, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, well, of
Mm.
course, we don't think that all Swedish people listen
No.
24-hour or only black metal. Well, besides,
This is our mind thinking that
yeah,
people
Yeah,
over
yeah,
there is march like with a white face over there.
not
No,
not
it should
it's
have
not
come
true.
with
yeah,
like skull
not more
painting.
that the Italian people eat spaghetti all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just joking, obviously.
Yeah,
Just one thing more that I'm
yeah.
really curious at the
Mm.
observing very well your image. May I am I just see something that brings me to some anime or manga like Evangelion and something like that.
Yeah.
Am I completely wrong? It's just my personal impression, or
Yeah.
I saw something that brings me to the mecha of Evangelion.
Yeah, Evangelion is one of my favorite shows. growing up.
Mhm.
And I've seen it like 4 or 5 times. I haven't read the manga, but I love the show. I love the design of everything, and part of inspiration is from that, of course.
Mhm.
Yeah, so spot on.
This is very cool.
There is another question,
Very
very
interesting.
technical but interesting. That's also from our viewers, and is what kind of techniques you use to create your art, and what are the artists who influenced you? So again, we are obviously speaking about influences on your
Yeah.
games. So let's keep going with this.
Yeah. I've sort of developed during the making of all the illustrations for Astro Inferno. So there are many different techniques. I've done some with photo bashing, some with sketches, and I since I come from a graphics background, I use Illustrator for a lot of things, and I always do after doing sketching, and I do line art in Illustrator, and then I color it in Photoshop, and the the influences for my art is, well, everything.
Mhm.
Anything I see, sort of. There's so lots of cool stuff out there that I would love to incorporate, but it's just a book.
Well, I can
Sadly.
see a lot of Ubibol just talk about you talked about Evangelion. I can see a lot of anime. I can
Yeah,
see a lot of influences from a lot of things. So I can believe you
yeah,
about this. Speaking of, now that the links, your social links are there, I will speak just 1 second in Italian, just to
yep,
remind our viewers that the for those who skipped the Kickstarter, now the pre-orders of the book are
yep,
live. I am right?
yep,
Quindi
correct.
ragazzi, nell'ultimo link che vedete qui, qui a fianco, se vi siete persi Astro Inferno e volete invece recuperarlo, sono aperti adesso i preordini, quindi l'ultimo link nella lista dei link dei social che trovate qui in chat, potete andare a preordinarlo in tutte le sue versioni, di cui adesso parleremo, anche le varie versioni. Ok, so moving on with our interview. Did you ever encountered any difficulties for the mature and adult teams in the book? And what would you like to say to those who might think that the content of the game would be too extreme?
Uh, since it isn't released yet, I haven't
Okay,
encountered
well,
any problems.
because
But
sometimes people
yeah,
tend to be very scared for something that they
yeah,
even that watched it, because
yeah.
sometimes.
There have been some sort of backlashes, I guess,
Mm,
where one see like naked girl, and they're like, he's raping her, and like, what? uh, there's alwa's those encounters, but um, I don't think there'll be too much backlash. I surely, if I want to sell to like resellers and wholesales, they will not want the legendary version because it's very mature. But even if it's very mature, it's still in this art style that's sort of friendlier, I guess.
okay.
It's not like photographic violence like the art in other games that produce horror. So even if it's pretty graphic, I think the art style makes it less mature, I guess.
Okay, no, I asked this because I remember I pledged Call to Divinity Lost, and there was a kind of problem with the cover, the cover of the
Yeah.
main book with a simple female breast, and I thought, wow, this is just a part of female body, and this is art.
Mm.
You can find it in many portraits, in many art.
Yeah. Mm.
I cannot understand how this could be a problem. And then I heard that it was a problem for the United States, and then I understood.
Yeah. So we'll see when it goes live how it's received by sellers and so on.
So I agree with you. I think that art is art, and censorship is not a good way to handle it. But yeah,
No. And actually, some of the most most problems I've had, it's right now when we're editing the text. My editors are like, "You can't write this."
okay, yeah.
I'm like, but I, it's what? Why? What's it? Yeah. So we're having internal discussions right now. What's gonna end up in the book and what's not, because it's spicy things.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I think that this is my personal opinion, but I would like to share with you because you are an author of such a important game in this sense. I think that the disappearing of the evilness from the tabletop RPGs is one of the problem of actual world of the role play games, because if there's no distinction between what is fantasy and what is true,
Mm.
and you cannot be the evil character, but just a character that is brought to the evil from some trauma or something like that, and not being evil, just being evil because you are
Yeah.
a demon, because you are a monster, because you are, I don't know,
Yeah.
the devil itself.
Yeah.
It's something that doesn't give the is a full expression to be anything you want in a role play game. So that's
Yeah.
why I like so much your game and why I supported it. Because for
Yeah.
me, it's important to have the complete overview and complete choice to be evil or good or
Yeah.
something else.
Yeah.
And this is for me important. And this is what I love the approach that you had. And I hope that nobody change it or nobody
Yeah.
try to do it.
Yeah. No, no, you're gonna play satanic monsters, no problem. Um,
That's amazing.
what
That's we are here. That's why we are here.
a relatable subject is, the game Godlike.
Yes.
Yes, I love that game, by the way.
Mhm.
And they released supplement book,
Mhm.
which handled like it. I think it was called like Operation Wassenfall, and was
Yeah,
like the Nazis.
yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
and the first thing that was in that book, that was, you can't play Nazis.
Uh,
You can't play.
I have
Uh,
ask you, sorry guys,
yeah.
because it's a banned word
Oh,
on
oh,
Twitch.
sorry.
I
Yeah,
believe so.
yeah,
Those people.
no problem. Yeah,
I fear that it's not possible
yeah,
to use
no
that word.
problem.
Sorry.
But you couldn't play the bad guys. And I was so disappointed in this, of course. Uh, and yeah, that's sort of more explainable in that case. But yeah, I like to play the evil guys.
Moreover, I could honestly tell that it depends even from the dimension of people that discusses about it. Because, come on, let's go, guys. Warhammer talk about these issues for since I think 30 years old. So at the end,
Yeah,
they could do it because they are huge. We could not do it
yeah,
because we are normal dimension. That is
mm,
not correct. I think
mm,
that everybody could approach everything in the correct
yeah,
way. Otherwise,
uh,
we have not to see, for example, Event Horizon movie or something like
yeah,
that. But we could do it.
yeah.
Absolutely.
And I think our like the climate of the social climate right now isn't. It's sort of ripe for this game, actually, because people are getting sick of like the politically correct media that's produced right now. So yeah, this is sort of going against the stream.
This is very yeah. This is the word actually, but I match your idea that this is the right moment. The
Yeah,
movement of I could tell you reverse in this sense. I think that it's very huge, and I think it is the right moment because people want to be free to
yeah,
play anything they want and be
yeah.
anything they want. So I
Yeah.
think it's cool in this sense.
So
Okay,
we are interrupted again by our viewers, which is good. And
very
there is
good.
another question from Max that asks how much your game is tied to your art. I mean, one could exist without the other.
Yeah, sure. They do. They sort of exist without each other. So it's I from the beginning it was sort of meant that Astro Inferno was gonna be like this small indie project, I guess, and mostly art, and like the lore was more or less sort of you know the game Borg.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
that was one of my greatest inspirations. Like, also great to have a like artsy book and like just these hints of world in it.
Hmm.
And but as we started development, it sort of grew, and now it's more like a normal role-playing game, I guess. It's not as small and indie as I was planning from the
Planning,
beginning.
okay.
Yeah,
But there is not a simple game. I have to honestly tell you, it's something that from the beginning that I saw, it's a very well done manual. It's something that it belongs to a era of the manual that was so more complete than right now. Because right now with the horsehair, the manual are 15, 20, 50 pages, something no more. And sometimes the manual is not the main thing that you have in your hand. Your manual is something different. There is a lot of description, there is a lot of lore, there is a lot of an illustration. It's something that belongs to another era, and I appreciated that even right now it is made a product like this because I
yeah.
love it. Maybe because
Uh,
I'm old.
yeah, I think I'm sort of aiming it for an older audience, I guess, because I grew up back in the 80s, and I, um, I loved those role playing games, and I love modern role playing games also, of course, but I want to make like I want to experience those games again. So it's a sort of nostalgic approach also. And I need really to mention something, and that is RPG Lit books. If you have experienced those,
Uh-huh.
it's like books where the main character is well being teleported,
Hmm.
and they sort of experience things out of a meta um, uh, of subjective perceivance. I can't really name it, but it's like meta role playing game. You know that you're a character, and
Uh-huh.
that has sort of also been a great inspiration for me because um, I love those gamey stuff in the
Yeah.
game. So we talked about Diablo earlier, and
Hmm.
you know, when you find loot in Astro Inferno, you roll for it. You get random stats on your items, and when you let's see if I can. Well, there are like abilities that if your friend rolls a perfect check, you can say no, it's a botch, uh,
Hmm.
and you both gain skill points instead. So there's lots of these small meta fourth wall systems included that I think is really fun, because when you take it, like when you go into the core of role-playing games, there are two versions. It's the storytellers that want no rules, and there's the simulationists or OSR that want, like, would rather play battle map games. So those two are the extremes. Just need to shut that off. And I sort of want to merge those two, have the storytelling, but with the systems and the rules, and have the storytelling be sort of from outside the game, not necessarily your character per se, but that you can, like, the magic system is 3 words that you have to combine and make a spell, and that makes it less storytelling and more gamey.
Yes.
But it's still your imagination that has to invent this spell, and so it's sort of tied to both worlds, and that is sort of, I think that's really interesting, and we tried to incorporate this into sort of all the systems, actually.
This is absolutely cool. And you're giving us some more info about the game now.
I'm just listening to in a very religious silence.
Yes,
So,
me too.
Because I'm very curious about the system, and you give us some very important topics.
Because some of this information, guys, are available just for the backers if you follow the updates. So be very careful, because today you are getting some good stuff.
Yeah.
We have another interesting question from the chat. Let's say from our friend the Edcat Live. Often we see aesthetics in world building strictly tied to the sci-fi or fantasy realms, without the permeability to each other. How you can imagine a new way to develop imaginary worlds outside the usual and inflationated stereotypes?
That's a good question.
It's a question.
Yeah. I guess it's my desire to have it all, I guess. I want to have the gritty. I want to have the luxurious. I want to have the medieval and the dark, like plague masks, and I want to have the swords, and I want to have the, like, heavy machine guns. So for me, it was kind of natural to not incorporate any stereotypes from, well, there, of course, there are stereotypes, of course, but sort of tweaked, and that has also been one of mine, going against the stream ideas about the game, like trying to not do as any other game, sort of distance it from everything and still have stuff from everything.
This is interesting. Very, very interesting reply to a very interesting question. So
Yes.
this is very cool, very cool. So now I continue. I continue with another question that now became very important to this talk about the actual RPG community. Any game authors or content that you find interesting recently? Maybe give you some influences to create the game, except to the one that you already
mentioned.
discussed it.
Well, I love so many games. I back so many Kickstarters and buy so many games and never read or play them. But I guess that's quite usual. And there's I most of my ideas are actually more from computer games than from RPG, TTRPG games. It's Dark Souls is a great inspiration. I love Dark Souls games,
Oh, yeah.
Elden Ring, and those. I like Metal Gear games are great inspiration, and Destiny.
Destiny.
I'm a great Destiny player. I've been playing Destiny since it started 10 years ago. So
I was quite sure, since your game has some elements very Destiny friendly.
Yeah, and the lore of Destiny is also one of the inspirations to the lore of Astro Inferno. Just the depth of it, and that you can like go so far back and so deep into it is I find it fascinating.
So when you said that a magic word that trigger all our community is, you said Dark Souls. Dark Souls is the Dark Emperor of Twitch, because everybody plays Dark Soul on Twitch except me, that I love it just more to see people playing, and people became desperate and angry while they're playing this game
Dying
online.
over and over.
But it is just this is another story.
Yeah. And Dark Souls is also a great inspiration, because in many other games, but you die and then you redo the stuff. But in Destiny and in Dark Souls, you die and then you resurrect, and then you have to do it again. It's not like, oh, we stop time and go back in time and do it over again. It's more of a natural thing that, oh, I died, my corpse is over there. Yeah.
And
So
if I sorry, if I remember
let's go.
correctly,
Sorry.
this is also a mechanic in Astro Inferno, so you can
Yeah.
actually die and be rebirthed by your master. Your okay, this is cool. It's something quite new, quite interesting.
Yeah. That's because, and this idea is because I love violence in RPGs, but you can't do it too much, because they die and then the players get grumpy and they have to create
Yeah,
new characters,
absolutely.
and if you don't kill the players, then they start to, oh, he never kill us. He wouldn't dare to kill us. So you got this balance problem in Astro Inferno. You can like, you all wipe, you're dead, and they can experience all the horrors of being crushed or incinerated or anything, and then come back to do it again, of course.
This is very cool. I was betting €10, and probably I will lose that one of the inspiration was Dead Space. But now that I see your description, I understand that is something more psychological and thrilling, not so much direct horror smashing in your face in this game. So this is what I discover, and I love it. I love it more.
Yeah, I like Dead Space a lot. I've played not all the games, but I played at least the first and the second. I think I played the third, but and it could be an inspiration, but it's not. I like the Event Horizon. I think it's more Event Horizon and Dead Space belong together, and this is more like. Some of it could be Dead Space, but this is more like huge technological castles and kings, satanic kings, and giant serpents, and so it's like more Conan, I guess,
Okay.
than Dead Space.
True. Sure.
Sort of.
Sure.
Yeah.
you just used this movie, and I would like to tell you with the story that I found, because when I discussed about the space horror and space thrilling with my friend, I said I would like to find a tabletop RPG that is able to make the missing part of Event Horizon. You
Yeah,
know that missing
the
part of Event
video.
Horizon is
Yeah,
like a unicorn,
yeah,
everybody spoke about it at the time of movie and even in the years, but nobody
mm,
knows very well what happened when they jump. Okay.
yeah,
So I think that when I saw Astro Inferno, I said, okay, finally I found a game to do it.
yeah,
I have just to say thank you to Liatmore Outsider to just subscribing. Sorry guys, to interrupted. Thank you very much, and welcome to our channel. Yeah, she is my girlfriend. Sorry.
yeah. No problem.
And
Benvenuta.
one question that I think should be mentioned because many people don't know that there are you planned two versions of the book of
Yep,
Astro Inferno. So can you tell us about the differences for those who don't know what to
yep,
choose in the pre-order, maybe?
yep. The core version is like your basic RPG, I guess. It's text and images and uh, normal graphics. I get normal images, not too mature. And we're right now discussing if we will sort of censor it a little bit in some parts. I guess we will because of rules in countries and so on. So we at least have one version that we can sell to certain buyers and so on. And the legendary version, it's I think it's like uh, 50 more pages or something. There's a lot of more images.
Mhm.
There's a complete other layout, or not complete layout, but it's a different layout. Some images are changed in it. It's less saturated, so it's less color and more of like a tome-like feeling. There's a lot of fluff,
Okay.
like small notes and like um, third party. I don't know, um, like from characters in the
Yeah.
game
Okay.
that quotes from stuff and like extra fluff is the best
Yeah,
word I
fluff
can.
explains
Uh,
very much, and I think
yeah,
it's quite familiar term for RPG players and
yeah.
also writers.
So
I
there are no different like lore or
Okay.
that. It's just images and fluff and cooler layout. uh, no.
I don't feel ashamed to tell that I order both the versions
Yeah, it was a
because
great deal.
I
So
wanted to have both. The one I will keep it on my home, the not touched because I'm too scared of ruin it, and the other it will be the one that I will use to play.
yeah,
I,
I think that's the best way. The the legendary version is more of a GM version also,
Yes,
so that's something you can like read up on
read,
and
yeah,
yeah, and the other one is more like rules
exactly.
and images. Yeah,
I have a bad relation with my copy of manual, because generally I just put in the library covered and nobody have to touch it. If you
mm,
touch that, you have an enemy that
yeah,
is staring you. So I think that for this game I will print my personal copy and I will put maybe in a cover like a Necronomicon from Army
yeah,
of Darkness or something like that,
yeah,
because I just to scare people even before the starting of my
yeah,
session of game,
yeah,
if I can. But I will do it, and I will send you a a picture of what
Yeah,
I
I
did.
would love to see that.
Yeah, absolutely. So when the book will arrive, you will see our shrines of Astro
Yeah,
Inferno protected, well protected.
yeah, looking forward to it.
And now I'm curious because this is a very mm, source of imagination and creation of gaming, especially in this period, that is period of a very vast catalog of tabletop RPG. So what will be your future programs? uh, can you tell us something a little bit more that you have in your mind? Maybe something new project, or maybe project that belongs to Axto Inferno, something like that.
Yeah, first first we need to finish the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Uh,
Yeah.
I have like I want to go like over there and do stuff, but I need to finish what I have in front of me.
Yeah.
And I have loads of like ideas that I would like to evolve, but I can't like indulge in them because I really need to focus on getting the first book great first. Uh, but I think we'll continue on in the world of Astro Inferno for sure.
So,
Hmm.
actually, there are plans for more products related to this to Astro Inferno.
I wasn't saying that.
Okay, okay, you weren't saying that,
Yeah,
but okay,
yeah. If God is willing.
Hmm.
absolutely. And well, that's amazing. I really looking forward. I know that you are overwhelmed with work with this game. I read all your updates,
Yeah,
so I
yeah,
really understand there is a lot of work. I
yeah,
already played the scenario you sent with the quick play at a
yeah.
convention, and people loved it. Even that there is just a little bit.
Yeah, it's just a small taste. It's hard to incorporate and get the feeling into one such small adventure.
I have a little question that now
Mm,
I'm a little bit curious, because your approach is completely different from maybe the main thinking right now, especially in the horror games, because it is linked to cult. That is a very an important game in the history of horror gaming. But what is your position? Do you like that the system of tabletop RPGs go in a more simple way in terms of rule and will be 100% role playing, or you prefer to have a more solid system, in sense that maybe you have some more tables, some more details that you can adjust in rolling the dice and in the script creating your character, just to
yeah,
understand what is your
yeah.
position in this.
Uh, this was actually one of the main ideas with the mechanics of Astro
Hmm.
Inferno because I really love storytelling.
Hmm.
That is my main bag, so to speak. Like the apocalypse system that is used in Cult, as an example. And I love the simplicity of it and everything. And we were playing like this large campaign, and the characters after like 20 sessions or something, they are like completely leveled, and
Hmm.
you can't get any better because the system won't allow it. So to you can't like raise um, the values any longer, and that's like when I was young in the 90s. We played these campaigns for years and years with the same character, and they leveled and leveled and leveled, and it never you could never over level, so to speak. And that's what I miss from the storytelling systems, that
Hmm.
you can have all these details and be happy about the number going up. because that's what. Oh, I have this skill, and it's 23 now. I want it to be 24. And that's missing from today's storytelling games, and that's sort of why I wanted to create this system.
So, advisor, power player, stay far from this game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Even from the quick play, you spot it. Absolutely. So we have two other questions from our community. Let's hear them. The Hat Cat again. You mentioned the movies and the anime were great inspiration to your work. You mentioned Evangelion, and Ubi will mention Event Horizon. Are there other movies that had a role in creating your visuals? I'll stop you
Oh,
because
yeah,
it's connected,
yeah,
quite connected with the
yeah.
question of Liat Moore that
Great save.
asks if there are any Shin Megami Tensei vibe in the game.
I'm not even sure what that is. So
Okay, yeah, well, it is well, I know it because it's a series of Japanese RPGs for I think it's only for console. I don't know if they are for PC, but yeah, it's a series like Final Fantasy and so.
yeah. I love Final Fantasy. I've played loads of Final Fantasy, yeah, and that's Final Fantasy is actually a pretty good like idea. I never thought about it, but you know they have these worlds with gods and like great monsters, and it's still a society, and so yeah, it could be inspiration from like Final Fantasy games. Uh, but movie like I there's probably loads, and I can't remember them right now. Yeah, sorry.
I remember when we spoke the first time. I don't know if you remember. I just asked you a few questions through Instagram. I remember that you put a lot of vibes from Turbo Killer from Carpenter
Yeah,
Brut,
yeah, yeah,
and I think yes, this is that kind of craziness.
yeah. That music video, Turbo Killer by Carpenter Brut, is like the greatest inspiration actually, because you know in the end when they do this satanic car chase, I guess,
Yes,
and
yes,
they land on this ship, and everyone dies except those who get away, and then the ship like flies up and becomes this inverted cross, and that's like, oh my god, the visuals and and I like, what world does that ship exist in?
yes,
In what world is like these satanic forces used, not like the main evil, but it's like their way of living. It's like they're Satanists and they're flying around in this great ship and doing stuff. Uh, so that's actually the starting point of everything of the, yeah, of the atmosphere in the game.
I tell you another thing about the discussion that we had in our association where we play day by day all the possible tabletop RPGs that we can have in our hands. We discussed it about Astro Inferno when the Kickstarted was at the beginning, and I remember that one of the funny discussion that arose was they pointed at me because I am a huge fan of John Carpenter movies. So they said, so you are the fan of John Carpenter movie. Did you remember Phantom from Mars?" And he said, "Okay, that movie was not the, we can say was not the best from John Carpenter." And say, "Now you had the fantastic chance to redirect that movie in a very more impressive way."
Yeah.
yeah.
And this game is probably the right one to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember that when I returning on Turbo Killer, I used to play it a lot when I'm in my car, and a lot of times I thought this reminds me of an RPG. And before Astro Inferno started on Kickstarter, I thought maybe it's cult. Then
Mm.
Astro Inferno arrived and I said no, this is Astro Inferno.
Yeah.
This is very, 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 very interesting. So I think that now we have a lot of uh, more interesting points. So we are waiting that you finish your masterpiece.
Yeah.
We need
It.
it. Now we
Yeah.
need.
Well,
Yeah. And I really
don't
want it
rush
to
the
be a
man,
masterpiece.
because
No.
No, no,
I
no,
can
no.
wait for the final form of this game.
Yeah. I've heard the sentiments. So we're gonna do it. We're gonna make it a masterpiece. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait.
I can honestly say that when I see the box that coming into my address, I would say, okay, now it's time.
Here comes the darkness.
He's comes the dog.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh,
the Edcat says one thing that was very funny. Your game exists and is futile.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It moves forwards the Borg
The Borg motto.
motto.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll ask you this, but if you cannot speak about it, no problem. Have you ever? Do you have any plans for translation in other language in the future? If
Yes. We've been contacted by publishers from Italy, Spain, France, and Poland. Uh, we haven't drawn any contracts yet, but
okay.
they will be localized in at least those 4 languages.
Oh, nice, nice. Good
Ooh,
luck for
this is a
those who have to
boom.
translate this game, because it will not be easy task.
No,
No.
uh, it's good that they offered to do it
Yeah,
themselves.
because I believe it will be challenging but interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it will be very interesting because at the end, I consider Italian the language that created the Inferno concept. So I think
Yeah,
that it
yeah,
will be very interesting and cool to read about the Inferno demons and things like this
yeah,
in Italian language. So I hope
yeah,
that it will be done in a proper way, but I'm sure it
yeah,
will do it.
hopefully. Yeah. And of course, Dante's Inferno is one of my great inspirations also
Okay, cool.
to
Yeah,
the
absolutely. Yeah,
background and lore. And
I can understand this.
yeah,
Absolutely, we can understand, and we give one of the best topic in the world about the demonic and satanic things
yeah,
with the Dante's Inferno. So I think
yeah,
that it's not possible to not pass it.
Also, your game is one of those. I think the only games that I know where you can actually play a demon, a real demon, not something shady, shape shifting. The real Diablo-like demons
yeah,
holding a big sword, and this is amazing. It's
yeah,
badass as fuck.
yeah,
And I give it even the sensation that I told you sometimes at the beginning of the talk. So you can impersonate the evilness, and
yeah,
this is I think is very important because they give it the 36 degrees experience. Otherwise, there's something missing. And I think that is important that you can play anything you want, especially in the space that is so big.
yeah. And we're the system we're building is also good and bad, because for good or for bad, because it's much up to the player's imagination. It's not like you're this fixed race, you will look like this, because if you're a satanic entity, you can be practically anything. You're still a satanic entity, but you can be
Mhm.
like this huge hulking red demon with large horns, sure. But you could also be like this grotesque robotic thing with tentacle arms, and
Mhm.
so it's it's really the player that can decide what I want to embody and what I want to do with it. And much of the system is built around that.
And also, this is something that I understood. I'm not if I'm right, but from the quick play, that morality in your game is something that is quite shady. So there is nothing more like evil, good. It's everything more blended.
Yeah, it's a gray area, and the sort of bad guys of the world, they're of course the Genesis, which are these Lovecraftian entities, divine high technologic beings. So the real horrors is like the divine, the angels, the archangels, and so on, and the satanic kings and priests and the princes. They're like the government. So you're existing in this space where you're ruled by horrors and you're like being invaded by horrors. Nothing is good.
It's not the opposite of Alien movie. So
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, we kept you here for almost an hour, so I think that now we have to release you.
absolutely.
And
It was fine.
it was amazing, and we have to thank you again for your presence here. It was amazing to talk about what you do and to talk about Astro Inferno, and we are really thrilled about what we are getting in our hands in the future. And I think that also our audience is really happy, and I will remind again in Italian that the pre-orders are open, quindi se siete interessati ragazzi, sappiate che i pre-order sono aperti, quindi se vi siete persi il Kickstarter, l'ultimo link di quelli che sono appena passati in chat è per i pre-order, quindi siete ancora assolutamente in tempo per prendere Astro Inferno.
Si può dire che è un giocone della Madonna, dai,
Sì, si può dire.
è corretto da questo punto
Yes,
di vista.
yes. So we are closing now, and we will just make a raid to another channel, and I'll ask you if you can do it, Ubibol, because I don't have the name, and I thank you again, Andreas, for being
Thanks for having me
with us today. I hope that Sweden will be less cold in the future days.
Mm.
I hope so, and less snow.
Just a moment. That probably I have not the one. I'm not allowed to make the.
Oh, okay.
The
So
raid.
I'll do it. I'll do it.
I just wrote the comment. Sorry, but
No problem.
probably
I'll do it. Yeah, probably. Yes.
I'm not totally overlord in my friend channel.
No, there's always a bigger evil that is me in this channel. In your channel, and you are the bigger evil, but here I am in the bigger evil. So we are going to go ride, and then thank you again, grazie a tutti, and thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
Bye to everyone. Ciao ciao.
Ciao.